Completing Form A for a financial consent order. Hello, I'm John Hind, former solicitor and full-time accredited family mediator. In this 15-minute video, I think slightly less than 15 minutes, part of my series, It's Not Rocket Science, my aim is to help you complete Form A for yourself, saving you time and professional fees if you can. Form A is your application for a financial consent order, which I'll share with you on my screen in a moment. Form A is also the financial application form used in contested court proceedings, which means that some of the language in it might appear a little confusing at times. Although I explain how to complete this form in some detail, I recommend that you check your completed Form A with your solicitor if you have one before submitting it to the court with the other documents I refer to in this video to avoid delay should the court need to return it for some reason. In this video, I also refer to a number of different court forms and applications, so I'll try to go at a pace that enables you to keep track of them and how they relate to each other, but please feel free to read the video script, which will also be available to you. Let me now share my screen for Form A. So bear with me a second, please. I'm just showing my screen now, taking you on to the first page. The first page is, you should be looking at it now, headed Notice of Financial Application. You're applying for financial provision, so this form does need to be completed. Use the case number from your divorce proceedings to insert in this box here. For the family court details, again, you may wish to use the information from your divorce papers or the address provided on page 14 of this Form A, HMTC Financial Remedy. If, of course, you're applying for maintenance or to vary a maintenance order, these bullet points here, this form does not apply as it states. Because this application relates to your consent order, it doesn't really matter who's the applicant, although the applicant needs to be the same person referred to as the applicant in your financial consent order. If one of you is the applicant in the divorce proceedings, it makes sense for that person also to be the applicant for the financial consent order, but it doesn't really need to be the case. I'll move on to the second page. This page that often causes some confusion, headed Nature of Application. On this page, you need to specify what you're asking the judge to do in the financial consent order you're sending them. So click the first box because your application is in connection with matrimonial proceedings. This box here, matrimonial proceedings or divorce proceedings. Next, tick the box confirming that you've been granted a conditional divorce order, because I'm assuming that by the time you send your Form A application to the court, you will have a conditional divorce order, because as you know by now, the judge can only make your financial consent order when you have your conditional divorce order. And ensure, please, that you send your conditional divorce order with this Form A. You may or may not already have a final divorce order, formerly known as decree absolute by this stage, and you may have been advised to wait before applying for your divorce order, which is often the case, until the financial consent order has been made by the court. Whether you do so or not is not the subject matter, I should say, of this video. However, I do cover this in more detail in my divorce manual, chapter 6, sections 6 and 7, which includes information and recommendation about the timing when to apply for your final divorce order and why. I also recommend you take legal advice, of course, about when to apply for your final divorce order. Next, tick the box that indicates you wish to proceed with your financial application in the divorce. This box here. I wish to proceed with the application in the divorce, assuming, of course, it is a divorce, not a dissolution, nullity, annulment, or judicial separation. And then turning to the types of orders, these here, I've ticked them all. I'd say the simplest approach is to tick all the boxes because they're quite likely either to relate specifically to something you're asking for in the consent order, such as a lump sum or maintenance, or indeed they relate to financial claims your consent order is asking the judge to dismiss, providing you and your former partner with a clean break you may be asking for. I should say by this stage, you will have been through your financial consent order with the person who prepared it and they will have explained to you what the consent order includes, and which highlights the fact, again, you'll be needing to tick all these boxes so that the judge can make your consent order. At the bottom of this page, you must, of course, click yes to the question, are you applying for an order by consent? Because that's what this video is all about. And remember, of course, to send your consent order, which you've both signed, to the court. Moving on to the next page, which is paragraph 1 of page 3. Further details of your application. If your consent order is asking the judge to make an order in relation to your property, referred to as a property adjustment order, please insert the necessary details here of the property and any mortgages. Now, this is, I'll go slightly slower at this point because it can cause some confusion. If your consent order is asking the judge to make maintenance orders for children, please tick the relevant boxes here. These boxes should be self-explanatory and either relate to your situation or do not. It's quite often the case, for example, that couples have agreed a child maintenance figure based on the child maintenance formula in mediation, which is already being paid, and perhaps even an agreement relating to the costs of the children's education in the future or presently, both of which are included in the consent order, in which case, please tick the second and this box here and this box down here for education. Those two there. Certainly this one here, there is a written agreement made on or after 1993, because you need to tick that if you want the judge to have the power to make your financial maintenance, the maintenance order in your financial consent order. Now, still on this page, moving slightly down towards the bottom, please confirm by clicking one of these boxes whether the Child Support Agency, also known as the Child Maintenance Service, have made a calculation. Since your lawyer, if you have one, or your mediator, should have explained that the court will not have the power to make the child maintenance order you want them to in your consent order if the Child Support Agency is dealing with child maintenance, unless, as indicated here, your consent order is simply asking for a top-up payment over and above the maintenance being dealt with by the child maintenance order, in which case that can be included in the consent order. And so please use the box to provide more information here to let the judge know what you're asking for and why. As always, if you have any doubts about this section, which can be a little confusing, please take legal advice or perhaps seek some further clarity from your mediator. They can also be helpful. Moving now to page 4. Excuse me, page 4. This page simply requires you to complete your children's details and some relationship details, so it should be self-explanatory, so I won't spend any more time on that page. And then the next page is service details. I'll say a little bit here. These pages require information to ensure that the court deals with the right person. If, for example, you have solicitors and they're on the court record as acting for you, and the court has been sending paperwork to them, you'll need to insert their information in this section. If you are simply receiving advice and support from your solicitor, but dealing with the court directly yourself in respect of your divorce process and wish the court to deal with you directly, you'll need to provide your address details here. If you wish to keep your address confidential from your former partner, you have the option of completing form C8, as is referred to here, which you can download and complete. Moving on swiftly to the next paragraph, paragraph 2, pages, or in fact paragraphs 2 to 4, pages 7 to 13. These deal with the requirement to attend a MIAM, a Mediation, Information and Assessment meeting, known as MIAM. In your case, and this is important, because you are simply applying for a financial consent order, you are not required to attend a MIAM. And also the exemption part of this form dealing with exemptions is not relevant to you and your situation. This is confirmed again in paragraph 6 on page 15, providing general information about completing this form. So it should be rather simple, these next pages. Not relevant. And finally, moving on to, is it page 14, the checklist. Definitely worth reading, going very carefully through the checklist. In my view, the boxes relating to page 7 here do not relate to you because you are applying for a consent order. You do not need to apply for one of the MIAM exemption reasons in section 3. I'll say that again. In my view, boxes related to page 7 do not relate to you because you're applying for a consent order, so you don't need to apply for one of the MIAM exemptions. So if there are no existing financial proceedings, you haven't applied to the court for financial proceedings in the past, so no existing financial proceedings sitting there, not to be confused with divorce proceedings, please send this Form A to the court to the address provided on the form, together with the following: your conditional divorce order, already referred to and talked about, your signed financial consent order, which you've had prepared and signed, which will include a pension sharing annex, if relevant, because there's a pension sharing order, and your Form D81, which is your financial summary form, which I cover in a separate video. As this Form A explains, there may also be a court fee. In fact, there's quite likely to be. You can find out how much using the web link they provide. So let me bring you back on back onto the screen and say the final few words to you. Hopefully, I've covered most of the points so you can complete this form yourself, saving you time and money, which is the main objective here. However, having watched this video and attempted to complete the form yourself, if you have any questions, please speak to your mediator and your lawyer, if of course you have one. And I do recommend you take some legal advice. As always, I recommend you take legal advice when completing the form in order to ensure that it's correctly completed and you avoid the delay of it being returned by the court, which can be a real pain and very frustrating. Please remember that your mediator is neutral, can only offer information about how to complete this, such as this video, of course. They do not offer advice. Thanks very much for watching, and really good luck with completing this form and the other forms. Bye for now.